David and Goliath. David was a youngest of 8 sons. He was a handsome boy who took care of the family's sheep. He spent his days in the rolling hills making sure the sheep were safe and well cared of. Just as David was good at tending sheep, he was also good at playing a harp. He could pluck melodies so beautiful that the sheep in the fields would stop to listen. King Saul, the king of the Israelites, heard of David's music and asked the boy to come play for him. David's melody soothed and troubled King. From then on, David traveled back and forth to play for King Saul and care for his father's sheep. Not long after, King Saul's army began to prepare for war against the Philistines. David wanted to join the army, but he was too young. David's brothers were old enough, so they set out to join the other soldiers in the valley of Elah. David's father worried about his son. He asked David to go after them, bring them food, and make sure they were safe. When David arrived, he saw the two great armies preparing for battle. On one side stood the Israelites. On the other side stood the Philistines. Each army formed a line that stretched as far as the eye could see. Before David had a chance to greet his brothers, the enemy line parted and a soldier stepped forward. But this was not an ordinary soldier. This was a fierce-looking giant. David could not believe his eyes. This terrifying giant named Goliath was as tall as 4 men standing one on top of another. Each day, Goliath stepped forward and spoke the same words to the Israelites.
Is there one man among you who will come forward and fight me? If you can kill me, we'll become your servants. But if I kill you, your soldiers will become our servants.
As the soldiers trembled with fear, David asked loudly,
"Why doesn't anyone fight him?"
Suddenly, David's brothers felt embarrassed. Then they grew angry.
Why are you here? Why aren't you home taking care of the sheep?
But David continued,
"If no one else will fight him, I will."
No, you are too young.
said his brothers.
You are a musician, not a soldier. You don't have enough experience to fight this Philistine,
said King Saul. David replied,
"All these years I have kept the sheep safe from lions and bears that have tried to kill them. God will give me courage. If I can face wild animals, I can face this giant."
David insisted so strongly that King Saul finally agreed.
If you are going to fight the giant, you must have a sword and armor like his,
said King Saul. He helped David put on a magnificent suit of armor, but the armor was too big and heavy, and David took it off. Nearby was a stream, and David reached down into the clear water. He pulled out one smooth stone and then another, until he had 5 in all. He had all that he needed: his slingshot, 5 stones, and God by his side. As David neared Goliath, the giant took a step forward and laughed. His laughter echoed throughout the valley, and Goliath said,
all you've brought are sticks? Am I supposed to run and fetch them like some dog? Ha 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 ha. Surely you need more than sticks and stones to fight a great warrior like me.
I have all I need,
said David. Then he took a round stone from his pocket, placed it carefully in his slingshot, and pulled it back. There was silence as David let go. The stone sailed through the air. It hit Goliath squarely in the middle of his forehead, and with a huge thud that shook the entire valley, Goliath fell down to the ground in a cloud of dust. With Goliath's great fall, King Saul's soldiers shouted and cheered. The war was over before it had begun. The sounds of celebration rang from every hill and valley in the kingdom. Brave young David had killed the mighty giant in one blow. Because David trusted in God's strength and help, he knew that he would win the battle against Goliath. And that's the end of our story. Thank you for listening.